All right, before we pick things up here, we want to talk about the presenting beer sponsor of this show, and you guys know that's a great tasting, less filling Miller Lite. That was a good
Yeah.
Really.
Ed, you know what I'm excited about this weekend? I'm excited to kick back, relax, and have a couple of Miller Lites with me and the mates.
Yeah, me too. You'll hear why Dave used the word mate later in the show. But I'm excited to have some Miller Lites with the mates too. So shout out to Miller Lite. Lots changed over the years. One thing that hasn't is the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it's also less filling. So what's the best thing about the original light beer?
Can't decide.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. There's so many good things.
I think you even throw just the look of the can into that conversation as well.
So too.
Yeah.
I think so too. They've sparked a debate in 1975, and they haven't settled it. So Miller Lite is great at keeping it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling because it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/midshow, or you could find it pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. Just make sure you celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. And on that note, all right, bang, bang, welcome to the Mid Show. It's myself, it's Chief, it's White Sox Dave. I think Danny's taking a dump. We will also be joined by Chicago Bears' new punter, Tory Taylor, who was the man.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yes.
Legend,
the man.
mate.
Yes, the man.
Yeah.
That's why Dave used the word mate in that Miller Lite ad read, as you heard. We were just talking about the mates, talking about some Australian wildlife, talking about punting footballs, Iowa football, all the above.
Yep.
Yes. It was great.
I want to start you like we all know how I use cunt very liberally. We didn't talk about on the show out of respect to the new Bears employee.
We did not say that.
However, I would like to bring mate to the States. It feels so much better than friend. Like, I don't want friends. Like, it's like you want to hang out with the friends. It's like, no, I don't want fucking. You say mates? Like, let's go hang out with the soccer mates. I was there fucking like that.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I do say mate sometimes.
Do you really?
So, for one reason, honestly, it started like ironically, and then it stuck. So, when I was in college, I was in a Fred, obviously I've talked about it before. You have you do rush and stuff. We had this one kid we were rushing, and for some reason when he would get drunk, he would start calling people mate and start talking in an Australian accent. So we're like, yo, what's because you don't know all these kids are going on. We're like, that's the mate guy. So he just became his mate. And so we started calling him mate, and then he was sober. He hated it. He's like, I'm like, guys, like, I don't call me mate. You know what I mean? I don't want to call mate.
That's awesome.
I know. So then after that, me and my friends were like, what's up, mate?
Once he expressed the fact that he hated it.
Yes, then everyone was all in on it. And then me and some of my best friends, we do it. We know it's not our thing, but it's become our thing.
Yeah.
So we did it ironically, now it's unironically. So
Yeah.
I didn't feel that unnatural calling him Nate, even though you guys like
All right, well, let's get together with the mates and have some Miller Lites this week.
I have to meet his actual mates. Because, think about it. This guy, they don't follow the NFL. He didn't follow the NFL until a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And they're like, holy shit, we got a guy in the NFL, his high school boys, and they're going to be over here for at least a weekend. They are. He'll probably fly him out, I have to tailgate with them.
Yeah, they're probably.
I have to tailgate with
those
them.
guys are definitely a party.
Legends.
Oh, yeah.
They got to be legends.
That's got to be such a revelation for all the people who grew up playing like him, Aussie Rules football and rugby, being like, wait, they'll pay you millions of dollars to kick a football?
Yeah.
Get me to America.
I meant to bring this up in the interview with him. It wouldn't have fit the convo. I never had a transition, but you got to think he might start to be a little revolutionary, right?
I feel like college football has done this. College football, there's been a influx of.
What's up, Danny? How's your dump?
Punters from down under.
He mentioned that Minnesota as well. I don't know if
LSU had the guy Wing.
Aubrey is the big guy in the NFL.
Okay,
he took over by storm.
I feel like that migration started happening 8 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. They can kick
all the mates are coming over.
Yeah, all the mates.
So we'll get to that soon. Danny, how was your dump?
How's my what?
Dump.
I wasn't dumping.
Oh, someone said
that's what Handsome Hank said.
No, he walked in to take a dump while I was walking out.
Oh, shit.
Story got confused.
Sorry. But so, yeah, we'll get to Tory Taylor here in a bit. We'll open the show, obviously. Big day last Thursday. Big weekend, honestly. The whole draft. I don't think any Bears fan could be anything but ecstatic.
As much as I was talking to Ryan about this before we started recording with Tory Taylor today. When you boil it down with that 4th-round pick, I don't think you should burn a pick, especially when you don't have a ton of capital on a player you literally don't want to see play.
Yeah.
But he had the flip side
the
to
argument
it, and it made
is,
sense.
I've heard people say that this is the thinnest NFL draft maybe ever because you have a lot of guys that have an extra year of COVID who would be in the draft that stayed an extra year, and then there's a bunch of underclassmen who would have come out to be a 4th or 5th round pick in typical years, decided to stay because the NIL money is there. You have a chance to improve your draft stock, whatever. So if you're going to take a play, and I've seen like other people in local radio like have a meltdown about taking a punter, but if you're taking a guy in the 4th round, this year that guy might not necessarily be guaranteed to make your team, where Tory Taylor is guaranteed to make your team. So you're guaranteed to improve a spot that is important on your 53-man roster, and he's just one of the mates. I know. I don't know much, but after that conversation, I know the locker room got better.
That did flip me.
Yep.
In the end, he's a glue guy.
Well, speaking of the locker room, I think that's my biggest takeaway here too, and I hope all of Chicago is like way more at ease. Caleb Williams seems like the fucking man.
The dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had been told that by a couple of guys who that are on the Bears that had dinner with him.
Yeah.
That said like he's like the media should be ashamed of how they portray him.
Yeah.
And he does seem like the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like texted all those guys right away, which sticks out to me too.
To the fucking punter.
Yeah. Reached out to Tory Taylor, reached out and was like, hey, what number are you gonna pick? He's like, no, 13's taken by a 12-year veteran who's like an awesome wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's got a great career.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm
Go
not
back
13.
to my high school number.
That shit matters.
It definitely does.
Fuck yeah, it does.
Matters.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
Fuck
if he's like, hey, I'm 13. Like,
Well, Jalen
Right.
Johnson had that quote. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was, I think, on Waddle and Sylvie. Where he also
he's a Spiegels and Parkins guy.
Okay,
like
so it was Parkins, whoever it was. It was in other media where he also had heard all the Hollywood bullshit with Caleb Williams, and he's like, he better not bring that Hollywood bullshit here. And then he's like, that meaning if he is actually some Hollywood prima donna, he better not bring that shit here. But he's talked to him since. Like, everything points to Caleb Williams being just he gets it.
Yeah.
He gets it.
And like this might be a meatball thing too. I love that they're all working out together already.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they've done multiple throwing sessions.
They were working out before they got drafted.
Yeah.
I'm in Rome, and they're throwing.
Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, and like, don't get mad at me for this, but it's like so good. It's like, are we missing something?
No. Let me tell you. Let's spin that.
Yeah.
How old are you now, Ed?
33.
So you've been putting up with shit for 33 years, and I feel like it's like the city's due for a correction.
It's time for a correction.
Yeah. So this could be the start of something.
I think it is.
Yeah.
All right. The best quarterback that they've drafted, at least in our lifetime, is Kyle Orton, that the Bears have drafted, probably, right?
Drafted, yeah.
Yeah, Kyle Orton.
Measured by team success?
Just individual success. Rex Grossman, prior to that, he was a stretch and he fell in the draft to them. I mean, obviously Fields, they traded up for him. He was sliding. Like they've never had a chance at the bona fide 1-1 consensus. This guy is the best player in the draft.
Yeah.
And it fell into a perfect situation. I've never been so excited or bullish on the future of any of my teams.
Yeah.
And if that gives you pause, I get it, but like, don't be Eeyore next.
He's not being Eeyore.
No, he's not. He's not. He's been on his best behavior.
Yeah.
I might have to check him a little bit later, but he's been on his best behavior.
But it's just, when you just like games aren't played on paper, obviously, but like you look at both sides of the ball, it's probably the best 53 on paper, and I don't think they're done tweaking that we've had maybe ever.
We talked about this prior to
What?
Not maybe ever.
In a long time. I mean, yeah.
Well, we were
What?
ever in Chicago Bears history?
No, in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Because And
I mean,
I can't
they
speak
need
to
some
what was
success to
going,
be better than those.
I can't speak to like the Ditka and the Wanstead era,
but
like
they need some on-field success. Like
totally,
of course.
But like even the years that were successful here, 18. That was like, hey, like it's always been the same formula where it's like we're just gonna have a kick-ass defense and then hope for the best on offense. And same thing with the Lovey years. Then you had that one year where Cutler was throwing it all over the place, where the offense was really good with Marshall and Alshon, but the defense had fallen off.
Yeah.
So like they've never had it both at the same time.
Yeah.
Again, no on-field success, but this is the first time where you can look at the names on paper and be like, the names on paper, both sides of the ball are good at the same time.
First time in 5 years.
On that exact
in 5 years.
On that exact note, I believe it was when we recorded immediately after the Chiefs game last year where they just got bukkakied all over their face. And you said they don't have one dude on the field. And then we both corrected and we're like, actually, DJ Moore, he's a dude. Now they got
dudes.
They got some fucking dudes all over the
Montez
field.
Sweat. We've seen Cole Kmet get a lot better. Jalen Johnson.
And now he's the number 3 or 4. Guy. That's going to make him all the better, I think.
Yeah, it's like pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, obviously this Hinsdale Central kid, I'm never going to get his name right. Like
I think you will get it right eventually.
Call him Kieran.
Kieran, but what's his last name?
It's Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran. He should be an Ichiro, actually.
With one name only guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's a project, very raw from all accounts, but like they improved the offensive line.
Yep.
And you expect Braxton Jones can get better.
He's healthy, and like you hope Bates makes the center position better.
Yep.
You hope you get Nate Davis playing like the guy that they thought they were signing instead of what we got out of him last year. Which
he improved last year in the second half, but yeah.
But he was,
of course.
Yeah. So if he can, year 2 in a new system, which I guess the system's going to be new again.
Yeah, it's
the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But I think they're in a. I think it's fair to be optimistic and happy right now.
Yeah. No, it totally is.
Yeah,
it totally is. The every word on Kieran too is that he's a behemoth of a man. Obviously, that he's got long arms,
insanely long arms. Yeah,
smooth and pass pro.
Got to be smart, Yale guy.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so Hinsdale Central, like Dave said, and then really we've talked about Rome. We did our whole celebration at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Really, the only one we haven't talked about is Austin Booker, and I reached out to a guy who we know that was a defensive coach at Kansas, and he's like, he couldn't believe he fell that far.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like, I can't believe he fell that. Like he loves him. He's like, he's the man, and like he's a legitimate pass rusher.
Yeah,
so.
And like he's also, because he fell far, and because of the way the rest of the roster is on defense, he doesn't have to be an impact guy. Like, because he's still young. He's still only 21. So like Austin Booker I believe that they'll put him in situations where he can have success as he learns this year. But it's not like you're like last year was like, I don't know, maybe we signed somebody before training camp that can rush the passer. Now it's like you kind of have guys that can get to the quarterback, and hopefully he can help on like third
downs,
third and 12.
Pin your ears back and fucking sack the quarterback.
Yeah. And oddly enough, like if you get 5 players if 5 players work out in a draft,
that's an awesome draft.
Yeah. Not saying all 5 are going to work out, but you feel good about Caleb, you feel good about Rome, feel good about Tory.
The punter will
like,
work out.
All right, let's see how Booker and Kieran work out.
Right. Yeah, and even if it only ends up being 3, as long as the quarterback's one of them, or even if it only ends up being 1, as long as the quarterback is one of them, we're going to be fine. But I will say, every single interview I see by Rome Odunze, I'm like, man, I love this guy.
He's got some charm. Just a nice kid. He got those little
charm.
Fat baby cheeks.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. He has like a charm about him where he's
just like a nice, quiet, like
authentic.
boy.
And I think he did ESPN Radio or The Score, where they were talking about like the Bears' all-time leading receiver. We might have talked about this last week too. And they're like, it's like 5,500 yards. He's like, wait, in a career?
Yeah.
That's how it's been here. So there's runway for this team. Like it's out in front of them. They got to put the work in and execute and all that. But like you feel good about at least the talent that they've brought in.
Totally.
Shout out to Ryan Poles, because he had to do a full tear down. They were kind of like the cap was not in a great situation. The talent wasn't in a great situation. Got rid of everybody, and some of that was painful. With Monty, like I didn't want to see Monty leave. They had some guys that I had like
definitely
some feelings for that. I'm like, it sucks that we have to let go of him. But now you fast forward to where we are today, and it's just like this roster's looking strong.
And I saw even DJ said, like, they asked him what's the difference so far, just even in throwing, and he's like, the processing feels a lot better. So
I think that he how do I want to put this? He was a poker player that had a tell right there.
Yeah.
About Fields.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if there's anything Justin Fields could have done this year short of making the playoffs for them not to take Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I even think if they had finished 9-8 and snuck in somehow.
Yeah, just making it. But I don't even think win that Packers game they were taking. Like,
no, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. But I was saying even a step further. So like they got in, but it was like he played how he played, but they managed to win a couple of these games that they lost in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. I still I don't think you can pass on a guy like Caleb.
No,
you probably get more in return for Justin, but if they had made the playoffs,
correct.
But the whole thing, I think everybody can. It'll take some time. It'll probably take Caleb winning some games before people pretend like they were never on the anti-Caleb train.
Yeah,
but. It's so far so good, and you want that guy to be the leader, set the tone, and it feels like he has that kind of innately, he knows what his responsibility is. So
yeah, and it can't be stressed enough how well they formulated the team too.
Yep.
Like having veterans like DJ and Keenan there. They're just so important.
And then
just so important.
I see a lot of people talking about how lucky they got with the Carolina pick. Yes, luck was involved, but they also created their own luck.
Yeah.
Poles, and specifically Ryan Poles. And
we played out this scenario last year when we liked Fields and we thought Fields was the guy. It was like, hey, you know what? Everyone, it was always a joke. It was like, hey, you know what? And if Fields doesn't have a good 2023, we'll just take Caleb Williams next year because Carolina's going to be bad. We didn't know that it would actually come to fruition that they'd be the worst team in the league and we'd have a chance. But, we played out that scenario when we got their pick knowing that they would be bad.
And don't forget, until week 8 or 9 last year, the Bears had the first and second pick.
Yeah, true. I wonder how much Caleb Williams appreciates what he's walking into, because if all he has to do is look at what happened to Bryce Young last year, where he shows up and it's like he's like the Will Smith meme, where he's in an empty room all alone with nobody to throw to, no defense, nothing.
Dude, he has to.
And
he's walking into one of the best situations a number 1 pick could ever walk in.
He's got to be the best.
He does a throwing session with 2 All-Pros and a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
That is
hey, here's your teammates.
Yeah. Go out there and fucking sling it,
just
baby.
hit them in the chest.
Yeah.
They'll be open.
Yeah.
And on that note, so should, you got to feel Shane Waldron feels the same way.
And
Shane Waldron's probably already has his agent on the phone why don't you call up some of these teams that are going to be firing their coach?
Yeah. Dude,
what about, we haven't even mentioned Matt Eberflus. Like, that's a guy that should be like,
but he's got,
that's the all-time losingest Bears coach in history.
You're right. He did in some ways hit the lottery, but I feel like he's not in as good of a spot as Waldron because he needs to make sure that defense is good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Because Waldron will be the head coach waiting wings, I would assume, right? Because now the way I think of it, I know Matt Eberflus is the head coach in name.
Ooh, that's
it's
an interesting scenario.
It's a straight shot right down the middle. It's like, all right, Waldron, you're the head coach of the offense.
It's just such not a Bears move though. But I don't know. It's different. Poles is a different guy than Pace, because I remember there was that season where it was very clear that Adam Gase was a better coach than John Fox.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he went
to the Dolphins, got the Dolphins head job, when in reality, it would have been smarter for the Bears to just give Gase the head job and dump Fox.
Mm-hmm.
That's just such an un-Bears move, so it's hard to envision that, but it's also it's not the guy that we...
That's the first comment where I'm like, we're getting ahead of ourselves on this.
Yeah, right. Our offensive coordinator, Well, you're the one who started it.
But it's not. I don't think it's crazy. Like that's what you do on these shows.
Let's just hope they're both. Yeah.
You talk hypotheticals, but that's I think Eberflus should feel very grateful. But I do think the defense is. You don't know what it's.
I was also talking, and while that's true, I was also talking a bit about it more in you don't hear anybody calling for Matty Eberflus's head right now.
No.
From a fan perspective, we were all talking about it.
End of the year, I was on that, and even when they made the announcement, I was like, this feels like a mistake.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily feel that way anymore. The defense got so much better.
It did.
over the court. Like really kind of once Sweat came in and like we saw Dexter.
Trickle-down effect was...
It was getting better before he came in.
Yeah,
too.
it was. And like you saw guys like Gervon Dexter got a lot better. And I think that played a big part in them not even hesitating with Rome at 9 because there's a lot of defensive line talent available there. And I think if we're like, hey, we got Sweat and we really like what Dexter did, if he has like a year or two jump,
Pickens takes a step.
Yeah, like all of them, you know. And it's like, we might be. It might not be. You know, what was that Giants team where they just the NASCAR front four? Remember that they won the I can't remember which Super Bowl it was that they won, but it was like Strahan and Justin Tuck. Like it's not going to be that, but like could be pretty good. Yeah. Could be a get by, and like the linebacker group is good. Yeah. Signed Byard to be the safety for Eddie Jackson. Like they don't have
Eddie Jackson's on the street still.
Is he?
He hasn't even signed. No.
So they don't have like a position group where you're like, oh fuck, you know, like every they might not have a top 5 unit.
The receiver core is awesome.
Yeah, but you still like it.
Maybe not depth wise, but those front 3 are as good as any.
Well, we got to see what Adunze is in the pros.
Of course.
But yeah, but definitely. So
you do.
That's the one where you could like
the front 4 too. Like I think like sure if you want you could be impressed by Dexter's, improvement, but like they're still.
But that's not going to be like I don't think it'll be a glaring weakness.
Yeah, fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'm not going to say it's like not a position group you don't worry about.
I'm trying to think. Like Santos was awesome last year.
Yeah.
He was a Pro Bowler, right?
He might. I mean,
maybe he was like 20-20 at one point or some shit.
No, he had a good year too. So yeah, that's. But
like, they don't have one where you're like, oh, fuck,
right,
that's going to be the one to fuck us.
Yeah.
But if it were to be, I think you're right. It'd be defensive line. The depth there, it does scare me.
Yeah. And like even our linebacker core, like they really came together, and maybe that's what they need, just to be some cohesiveness, some games under their belt. But there were some games where it was like, oh, this doesn't really
early on,
kind of wonky, out of sync, and it didn't seem right for a little bit.
And it felt like Tremaine Edmonds went down for a minute in the middle of the year, and Sanborn shifted over, and then it was like it didn't get much better. And then Edmonds came back, and then the defense was rolling. Mm-hmm. So it's like they probably needed some time to get acclimated. Here's another thing when we were talking about the defense, they're going to have more rest this year. They're not going to, less 3 and outs, less being on the field for these, these long drives or, deep into the game. Like that has to be worth, I don't know, a point or two, like literally that, like a point or two per game where the defense is just fresher because Caleb has them on the field, for longer drives.
Yeah.
Unless they're scoring too quick.
Do you
that
think
might be a problem. The Bears might be scoring too quick. Sure.
Yeah.
Lance, anything from you before we get to Tory Taylor?
Not an incredible amount. I think we've hit on a lot. I agree the trenches are probably our biggest weakness. However, something that's super interesting is for Caleb Williams to be the all-time leading passer for the Bears. All he has to do is throw for 226 yards per game. If he plays all 17 games, if he does 226, to be the best ever as a Bear, right? Then for Rome Odunze as a rookie, if he can get 66 receiving yards per game, he'd be the best rookie in Bears history.
Pretty crazy.
So that feels pretty attainable.
Pretty crazy.
What was Fields per game last year? Probably about 2.
Yeah, I'll look it up. But yeah, I think honestly it might have been less.
Might have been less.
Yeah.
Because he never... he did throw for 300 once.
Yeah,
right?
Against the Broncos.
But it's like another thing where the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer.
Yeah.
Like that could be probably not this year.
I remember I was stoked when Cutler broke 3,000. Mm-hmm. 3,000.
All right, then. We could get to Tory Taylor. Before we do, though, we want to alert you guys about some new Portillo's menu items.
Ooh,
these are big,
baby.
So listen up. You guys know we love Portillo's here. All our Chicago listeners, Arizona listeners, all over the place.
Now Texas,
Portillo's,
Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe
they're all
Indiana,
over Indiana.
Michigan.
So Portillo's, it's now more than just beefs, burgers, and dogs. We obviously know the classic chopped salad is a fan favorite. Everybody loves the chopped salad. And they just added a fiery kick to a classic we all know and love. They got the new spicy chicken chopped salad. It's a hot take that Chicago's adding their hottest ingredient, giardiniera and spicy chicken, to take a salad up a notch. Giardiniera on a salad, it really doesn't get more Chicago than that. So they've also added a chicken pecan salad with bacon, because who doesn't love grilled chicken, and bacon in their salad. Plus, it's topped with their all-new honey peppercorn dressing. Dave, you've had some. I'm trying this tonight. I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, we were the little test dummies for Portillo's new salads. Last week they brought them in, and I didn't even realize they were doing it. I just gravitated towards this chicken chop salad. I love spicy. It had a perfect amount of kick. I didn't feel like I was eating an entire 8-course meal for lunch and just all fat and bloated the rest of the day. It was perfect. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Go get it.
Some healthy options there. Exactly. Yeah. You got the beef bowls too.
Mm-hmm.
You want to cut out the bread, cut out the carbs. They got one there. So
I've had that many times.
Yeah.
Portillo's is going
because I'm a health freak.
Yeah.
They're going to the moon.
Yeah, they are. So don't sleep on Portillo salads. Order at portillos.com or visit your local Portillo today.
Actually, Ed and I are going tonight.
We are.
I'm not invited. Thanks.
Dave, can you kick us over to Tory?
Whoosh.
All right, now we are in the interview portion of the show. We are joined by Bears punter Tory Taylor. Tory, thanks for doing this. My first question out of the gate, you punted a lot last year. How tired is your leg? Has that thing been in a garage all off season? Is it secure?
It's more than secure. It's ready to go. I'm excited.
When you were deciding what college to go to, did you pick Iowa because you knew you'd be getting a lot of work?
No, because to be completely honest, I didn't really know too much about college football. And I kind of just wanted to come over here and I thought, well, I can kick a ball all right in Australia and there's not too many guys that can do it that well playing college football. So I kind of thought, oh, I'll just go over there and have fun and see what happens. And literally my first thought was I'll just catch it and kick it as far and high as I can. And then after about a year, Coach Wood said, you're pretty good at this. You should really think about what you want to achieve out of your college career. And then I thought, well, I obviously want to play for as long as I can because I know the guys in the NFL make a lot of money. So it certainly beats working, that's for sure. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy few years. But to answer your original question, I had no idea that I'd punt. Is it nearly 300 times across 4 years?
Oh my God!
Some guys, some guys might what I have last year, 90 punts. Like some guys might not have that in their career. One of my mates, Brett Thorson, the punter at Georgia, who they even play a couple more games than us. I don't even reckon he's gotten close to that in these 2 years there. For sure. He's probably only punted no more than 40, 50 times.
Yeah, well, here's hoping that Caleb Williams text that you reportedly got is going to come true. And
yeah.
You're punting less than you're accustomed to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, even one of the coaches rang me. He's like, yeah, you know what? You got a darn good quarterback now, so we're going to have some fun. So I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, there's just weapons everywhere as well. So I'm excited.
Do you have like a rugby background? Or
no, I played Australian rules football.
Okay.
So I played until I was about 14 or 15, and then I stopped playing because I wasn't really enjoying it. And then I started again when I was 18, 19, and then I joined Pro Kick. And then punting's really just been my thing ever since the last 4 or 5 years. But I love it. Like, I think that's kind of what's probably, I guess, led to the success I've had is, I could go out there and hit 150 balls right now. And I would just get so much satisfaction. Just kind of like the driving range out on the golf course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you're a big dude too. You're 6'4" and what? You're not exactly your typical punter build.
Yeah, 6'4", 222, 223. Yeah, pretty big dude.
Do you ever get like the itch to just run down and take somebody's head off on punt coverage?
No, I let the guys a little bit bigger and faster than me do that. But if they have to do that, it's usually not the best punt.
True.
Especially if I have to make tackles.
Tory, to get back to Iowa, when you got to Iowa City for the first time, you're broadcasting out of Iowa City right now. What was like the biggest culture shock? Like, were you like, whoa, like these people love gas station pizza? Or like, what was the biggest thing that you're like, I'm not in Australia anymore?
I don't know if I should say this or not, but
no, say it.
just the fatty food. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I got through walking through San Francisco airport, and I was just, when you've been traveling for 24 hours, I was just trying to find something that was just fresh, and everything was just oily and greasy and just shit. I'm like, oh, what is this place? But then when I got to Iowa and had, Iowa's pretty well renowned for their meat and things like that. It felt a little bit more normality, I guess.
Yeah, the Midwest is known for having healthier food than San Francisco. That's
for sure. And I've been to Chicago a few times, and I was talking to one of my mates last night. I've been a few places around the US, and I know New York's pretty good for their food and things like that, but Chicago has the best food by an absolute mile from where I've been.
Yeah, and we have a guy who does like our international travel here, and he's been everywhere, Shanghai, London. He says that Chicago is his number one food city in the whole world.
Yeah,
so
I'm a big pot belly person, and they don't have that in Iowa City, so I'm excited to.
Oh no, we'll get you.
Founded here too.
We'll get you a real submarine sandwich out here.
Yeah,
okay.
It was fun.
All right, I look forward to it. I'm a pretty simple man though. Like I just like Italian with a little bit of lettuce and onion, and I'm good to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't need 1,000 things in it.
That's all you. So where were you when you got the call? Fourth round, like were you expecting that, or what? Walk me through the process. Walk me through your day.
It was pretty crazy. So a coach from another team called me just to try and. It was probably around pick 117 or 118, and. Just try and see what's happening. He's like, oh, you know, what teams you been talking to, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, oh, hang on, I'm getting a call. And then I look at my phone, it was my agent. I was like, darn, I got a little bit excited and thinking, oh, you know, maybe someone's ringing in. I said, oh, hang on, I'll call you back. My agent's calling me. And then I'm talking to my agent. I said, oh, hang on, I was just on the phone to a special teams coach. And he's like, all right. And I was like, fuck, like, hang on, I'm getting a call. And an Illinois number came up. And I was like, no way, like, let's go. But I didn't get my hopes up straight away. But then the call said, oh, like, this call is being recorded or something like that. And I was just like, oh, holy shit, this is happening. But I was in the garage at my parents' like Airbnb thing. And all my parents and family and all my mates and stuff were inside. So I was like, shit, I've got to run back inside and take this phone like with everyone there. And yeah, it was just a really cool moment because my girlfriend's from Chicago, and
nice.
The whole like fourth round we were like 20 picks away, 10 picks away, like 4 picks away. And I was like, would you just relax? Wherever is good. But I really wanted to come to Chicago because Chicago's like the sports capital of America. Like I don't care what anybody says, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
It's the truth. And I go for like I support teams if they're the first team I saw. So like the Cubs are obviously my team, and same with the Blackhawks. I don't know whether that's going to create a divide amongst us anyone now, but if there's any White Sox fans there, but yeah, I was just really excited. And
the guy in the middle, his name is White Sox Dave.
But I hate them. I hate them more than anybody hates them. So that's a different. You'll learn that as you get to Chicago.
Yeah. No, so you picked the right team.
I will ask is I'm not like the biggest baseball or basketball fan. I love football, obviously, but like, is the divide really that great amongst like the White Sox and the Cubs?
It was until very recent. It kind of got worse throughout the years, but like 10, 12 years ago, it was a legit hatred. Now the White Sox are so bad that like no one cares. Really.
Nobody hates the White Sox more than the White Sox.
The White Sox fans are very mad at the White Sox right now. We hate them.
Stick to the north side and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I will. How are the Cubs going to go this year?
We're going well.
It's going well.
Yeah.
It's a good start.
I think they're on pace for 97 wins, which would win the division easily. So
battling a ton of injuries and hanging in there, so it's good.
That's very, very unlike Chicago sports fans to get ahead of themselves, though.
Oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves with you guys right now.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I'm really excited.
So what did So then keep going. What was on the other end of that phone call? Well, it was Brian Poles, and he's just like, "Hey."
So it was actually Jeff Shivers, who's a long-time scout for the Bears, and he actually came out to Iowa a few times, and he answered I guess I answered the phone, and I heard his voice. I was like, I kind of know this voice because I feel like I may have met him a couple of times at Iowa, and he kind of said, oh, how would you like to be a Chicago Bear? And I was just like, holy shit. I was like, is this really happening? Like, and then, it was just it was a crazy few minutes, to be honest. And then I think the funniest thing was that when I hung up the phone to all the Bears coaches and stuff and things like that, I rang my agent to thank him straight away, just because he obviously worked his tail off to get me there. And then I rang my special teams coach from Iowa, who I'm really close with. And I was like, oh, hey, coach. Was like, oh, what's up, dude? Like, what are you up to? Like, oh, what are you feeling? And I was just like, how does this idiot not know what's going on? But then I'm looking at the TV and it's still at only pick 120.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, shit. I was like, I'm the idiot. And I was like, Coach Woods, like, turn the TV on. He's like, oh, what's up? I was like, I just got drafted by the Bears. It's going to be up in 2 picks. And he's like, no, you bloody didn't. I was like, yes, turn it on. Because, he was down in Des Moines, which is a couple of hours away. I think at his son's like track meet. So he couldn't make it, but it was pretty cool. Like you guys obviously know Dallas Clark. I'm close with him, so he was there as well, and he actually had to leave at 1:00. And one of my mates flew over from Australia for a couple of weeks, and his flight was at 4:00. So he was saying, he's like, you better get drafted before then. I was like, I'm hoping so. I was like, I'm really hoping 4th or 5th round so you can see it. And then we ended up being able to share a couple of hours together. So it all worked out perfectly, to be honest. It could not have happened any more smoothly or perfectly. Yeah, dream destination. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I was like, if I can end up in Chicago, which is only 3 hours away, my girlfriend's from there. I've got a ton of friends there. It's a great city, great food. It's literally worked out perfectly. I love the coaches as well, like Coach Hightower. We really bonded really well at the combine. So, yeah, I was just absolutely pumped.
Now, do your mates like know how?
Don't Eddie? Don't say mate. Don't try to say mate.
I'm saying mate. All right, I was gonna say boys.
No, you can.
All right, mates. Do your mates know that like how big of a deal it is to get not only fucking drafted, to be a punter that got drafted and a punter that got drafted in the 4th round? Like, do they like know the scope of how big that is?
It doesn't happen hardly ever.
Yeah,
it really doesn't.
No, you know, it's funny, like you asked, oh, do your mates know that? It's still sinking in for me. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. And I was saying that to my coach, the special teams coach here, Coach Woods, yesterday. It's all these like big milestones happen, but it's happening to me. It just feels so strange. You know what I mean? So, but to answer your question, a couple of them do, because a lot of my mates over here, they're punters at different schools too. You know, I had Mark Crawford, the Minnesota punter. He was down for the weekend too, and had a few friends that used to play here down, so they all get it. But I don't think really my friends back home like gauge how big of a deal it is. And when you really like narrow down the percentages of, I guess, people going from high school to college, like, or to Division 1 to Division 1 to the NFL, just to make like the 100-man roster at the start, and then the 53, like it's such a minority of people. So haven't gotten there yet, but just even to be given the opportunity, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
How familiar are people in Australia with the NFL in general? I was in England a couple weeks ago, and the only thing people wanted to talk to me about was the NFL. So is it growing in Australia too?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I think the hardest part is, in the UK, I think, what are they, 6 hours ahead?
Yeah.
So all those noon games on a Sunday, it's like nighttime there. So they can just put the TV on and watch it. Whereas you get a noon game here, it's like 3 or 4 a.m. in Australia on a Monday morning. So not everyone's getting up to watch it. But when there's a night game on, like those Sunday night games, a lot of people might be watching it Monday morning. I know that's what I used to do. And yeah, especially when it comes to playoff time, where there's a lot more night games, a lot more people are watching. But it's certainly growing in popularity. So hopefully one day there'll be a game out there. But I don't know if too many people would want to sit on that flight, especially from Chicago. It's probably a good 20 hours at least.
It's a long time.
Long flight.
Yeah.
How are you?
So I don't know if that'll happen.
How are you, like, as far as kicking goes? Are you decent at field goals? Can you do kickoffs? Like, what's your capabilities as far as that goes?
Yeah, well, especially with this new kickoff rule, I'm kind of, it's out of my control. But if Coach Hightower says, hey, we want you to kick a couple of drop kicks out, they'll be like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I certainly want to get involved. But at the same time, I think they're going to be changing things up return-wise. There might be like some special guys back there like Tyreek Hill, and I'm not the slowest dude, but I'm not fast enough to catch Tyreek Hill. So
nobody is. So I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of field goals, like I can kick a field goal, but it certainly takes a lot of practice, and my range is pretty limited for sure.
No concerns about the wind blowing off the lake here?
Nah, because
blast right through it.
I don't really know. I've certainly played in some pretty poor conditions here, but I'm just excited, man. Like, when the weather's so crazy, it almost feels like, what I would always say to my teammates, like, this is so crappy and fucked that, like, it's almost fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I played at Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, and it was, a couple of years ago, and it was minus 18 Celsius, which I think is like -1 Fahrenheit. And I just remember it wasn't even cold. It was if like the wind was just burning your face. And I kind of thought, man, it can't get any worse than this. But then I thought, in the NFL, you play for an additional 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really care where we play, whether it's 100 degrees or whether it's 30 or -5. As long as I'm punting the ball, I don't really care.
guy just loves kicking balls.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I always bring this up to every Australian person we have in the show, and I have this irrational fear on the podcast about coming across a cassowary. They're only native to Australia. Have you ever seen one? Do you know what one is? I assume, right?
I don't know what that is.
Like
what?
The cassowary, the murderous bird. It's like a murderous bird in Australia.
It's like an ostrich.
Yes, you've never heard of these?
But it's blind, I think, too.
Is it?
No.
Oh,
they're like velociraptors, basically.
Oh no, I've seen some videos from the Australian people, and these things are real. They're basically dinosaurs.
Did you see that video of the Australian guy with his dog that had the kangaroo had his dog in the headlock, and the guy just threw a quick?
Yeah, I've seen all those. But I think the scariest thing is those like bird-eating spiders, which I didn't even know were a thing until someone suggested it here couple of years ago to me. He's like, "Oh, have a look at it." I'm like, a bird-eating spider, and those things are massive. They're like the size of your hand.
Ugh.
I feel like there's a million things in Australia that will kill you.
Yeah.
Drop of a hat.
Yeah, probably. But there's also a million things here, and it doesn't seem to scare too many people.
Not in the Midwest.
Yeah, we got squirrels and a raccoon.
Yeah.
Some big old deer. That's about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who are terrified of you.
Yeah. No, the wildlife, I mean, in Australia, it's always like, it's so scary. It feels like Jurassic World over there.
Yeah. So
if it makes you feel any better, and this might sound really sad to say, a lot of them are all dead because of the bushfires a couple of years ago. So I don't know whether that makes you feel any better or not, but a lot of them are gone now, which is kind of sad to say, but it probably brings a few more tourists.
Ed hates animals as a whole.
No, that's not true.
Doesn't like dogs.
They're lying.
Come on, man.
Has any of your, besides this draft class, have you talked to any future teammates? I know you and Caleb.
Caleb texted me on obviously on Saturday, and I was chatting to him yesterday because he actually texted me, and then I told the media what he texted me, and then yesterday I was like, I never actually texted him back, so obviously I had 1,000 messages, and then I was like, "Oh, sorry, man, I completely forgot to get back to you." But yeah, he seems like a really cool dude, so I'm excited. But yeah, that's all who I've spoken to, and obviously a few personnel, and just in terms of travel and things like that, and hotel or whatnot next week. And I'm just really excited to kind of just meet all the guys and get amongst it.
So you big timed the star quarterback.
Yeah, big timed him. That's a bad way to start your career.
Don't let that one get out there. Not all. It was kind of like the Tristan Wirfs and Tom Brady thing a couple of years ago.
Right.
I think that there was certainly no intention behind it.
Yeah, he was with the mates. He was having
he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you? What mate on the Bears are you most looking forward to playing with? Like, are you excited to play with Cole or have you gotten with Scales? Have you developed a nice mateship with Scales?
No, I haven't spoken to anyone yet.
Okay.
Like I said, I've only spoken to the ops guy, one of the marketing girls, and Caleb texted me, and obviously he's spoken to Coach Hightail, the special teams coach, a couple of times. That's really it. I'm sure I'll meet a bunch of the guys next week for rookie minicamp.
Nice. Any other big plans this summer before you really get into full football mode?
Yeah, you still have classes going on?
Actually, I'm finishing up class next week, so I graduate next week, which is going to be pretty special because I'll be the first Taylor to graduate, which is pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to just getting that over and done with.
What are you going to miss most about Iowa City?
That's a great college town.
It is.
I love Iowa City.
I mean, it's probably just the guys in the building, it sounds so cliche, but just like I loved rocking up. Like I loved going to football every day. It was probably a grind for some guys, but I was always like, I moved across the other side of the world. Like I just loved going into the building and hanging out with the guys, especially hanging out with the coaches, and Coach Woods really loved hanging out with him. And it's probably those things. It's really usually just the little things, and obviously playing in Kinnick's pretty special, but playing in the NFL's probably going to top that for sure.
I hope so.
I would hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm excited. Probably going to punt a little less too, which is nice.
Yeah, I hope you never
get yourself a big warm jacket and sit on the bench in December. That would be great.
That'd be nice. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
we'd all love that.
Do you get? What would you rather do? Would you rather pin somebody? Like you're punting from the 45 and you pin somebody down deep, or would you rather just, hey, I'm punting from my own goal line, I'm just going to boom it as far as I can? Which one gets you personally more excited?
So how do I word this in a non-arrogant way? But so I've been kicking like end over end drop punts for 20 years, if you know what I mean, like playing Australian rules football. So if the ball's on like the plus 45, like that's my money shot. I'm like, okay, like I know where this is going. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I'm putting this inside the 10 at the boundary. But when the ball's on like the minus 20 and there's an open field spiral punt and I hit the ball I want to hit, like I don't think people quite understand how hard that is to do, especially in when the weather's really shitty. So I would say I gain more satisfaction out of hitting like that big spiral punt with lots of hang time. So in simple terms, I would take like a 48-yard fair catch, like open field ball, over like 1 at the 5, but which is probably a little weird to say, but I feel like a lot of punters would agree with me. But at the same time, I know hitting the ball out at the 5 is going to benefit the team just as much. Yeah. And I know the crowd will be going crazy too.
Yeah, that's true. Well, all right then, Tory. We appreciate the time you've given us. I do kind of want to. Could you shout out some of the mates?
Just want to
shout out the mates.
What's their names? What are some of the mates' names?
Obviously, I've got Charlton back home. My mate Mark Crawford. I'll shout out all my coaches as well back home, and special mention to my agent as well, Bruce Tollner, best in the business. So yeah, there's a few shout outs.
I feel like there's a wild crew. I'd love to meet them before a game and just.
I bet they tailgate hard.
I volunteer. Yeah. Our crew volunteers to host whatever Australians come over for tailgates.
Yes, we will show them the time of their lives.
It is funny you say that because I had 2 mates come over last year before the final game of the season, which was my senior game, and they got here on the Friday afternoon, and I was at the hotel, and I was like, guys, just to let you know, people are going to know who you are, so can you not do anything stupid? And then, like, the next day I wake up and there's, like, Snapchats of them, like, standing up on the tables in the bars, like, singing and, like, playing one of the trumpets from the band and things like that. And I'm just like, yeah, thanks, guys, great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they certainly had a good time. So, yeah, there'll be a few guys coming over this year, so they'll I'm sure they'll look forward to meeting you in person.
Awesome.
We will have a tailgate for them, and they will have the time of their lives.
I'm genuinely pumped.
All right, that's awesome.
Yes.
I look forward to it.
I hope this happens. Tory, thanks, man. Anything you want to get out there before we wrap this up?
No, just again, really appreciate everyone's support, and I'm like, I can't believe it's happening, but really excited to be a Bear.
Let's win a Super Bowl,
Cubs.
man.
Yeah, we're happy for you. So
yeah, we are.
Welcome to Chicago.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Tory. All right, shout out to Tory Taylor. As you just heard, now you know why the first 5 minutes before you guys even heard the interview, we were hyping him up so much because he's the man. And we were happy to have him on. Before we continue on with the rest of our show, though, we want to talk about ChevyDriveChicago.com because summer road trip season is coming up quick, and now is the perfect time to get a new Chevy, boys.
Chief, you got a Chevy. How's that Chevy treating you?
Chevy's been great. I love the Chevy.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's about to be road trip season. I think we should go to Kentucky. I know we've talked about it before. Like that to me is like the perfect distance. Get there like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Day trip. So
I'm sure we got some listeners headed to the Derby this weekend.
Yep, Derby is this weekend, and then I want to have a great Chicago summer. So I think I'm going to go up to a lake house in Wisconsin at some point too.
Yeah,
that's perfect. That
right.
Perfectly encapsulates Chicago.
Sounds like a smart guy. Got something into your brain. And that road trip's easier with Chevy. The SUV lineup with the new Silverado truck has all the space you need to comfortably get to where you're going. ChevyDriveChicago.com has the latest offers on all vehicles and can help you find your local Chevy dealer. Every Chevy is a #1 pick. ChevyDriveChicago.com is the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Go to ChevyDriveChicago.com to learn more. Check out that whole fleet, right, Dave?
Yeah, or just get your oil changed, tires rotated.
Get it all done.
Yeah.
ChevyDriveChicago.com,
general maintenance.
Place to be. All right, moving on. Your Chicago Cubs. Listen, they're just battling. Everywhere you pop up, it's just someone's hurt, someone's getting gimpy, someone's wobbly, and they just keep finding ways to win. Swept the Astros.
Yep.
Thankfully got one against the Red Sox. Tough one. We're recording this Wednesday during the day, so we don't know what's going to happen in the rubber match versus the Mets. Some things to be excited about, some things to be concerned about.
I think the only thing to be concerned about really has been the injuries. Like, even with what else? The bullpen? The closer?
It hurts seeing what's happened to Alzolay.
I think he'll figure it out.
I don't know, man. They took him out of the closer role and he still blew another game.
Yeah.
You know, like you would hope like taking him out of that situational pitching would put him in a better spot and start to feel better, get into more of himself, because he really kind of locked into his own last season.
Yeah.
And he came into this year being a big part of the bullpen. To give up that dong against the Mets, it's just like, oh no, like this is something where the mud slide could really keep going.
Totally. But I think they're in such a good spot with their entire pitching staff where Taillon's been awesome, Shota's been awesome, Steele's coming back soon. I think, you know, if he gets into high leverage situations and they put Cade Horton up to AAA already.
Yep.
So if it needs to be, who knows, if it's a power arm like Ben Brown or something I think they'll be able to cobble together a back end of the bullpen and be fine. But yeah, the Azalea stuff is not ideal.
Yeah, like obviously that and the injuries are just not ideal.
Well, like I bet the Cubs yesterday without looking at the lineup, and then when I was watching the game, like, Patrick Wisdom's in there. You know, like it was like it was kind of like last year's everyday lineup, and now it's like through the first month of the season, you're like, wait, like,
yeah,
when they're healthy, like this team is so much better than last year.
But they also, even with those lineups, they're still finding ways to get it done.
Yep, which
like
is that's what you'll love to see.
Like last Thursday, I said it on Tuesday's mid show. Something just came over me. I wanted to go see Justin Verlander play, and I went to that game, and that lineup was just the whole bottom half of it. It's like, oh, this is a problem. And
yeah,
sure enough, like they would get Verlander and jams. I think he got out of a bases loaded, no outs jam. Then in the second inning, he got out of another one, and they just couldn't figure it out. Boom, PCA.
Yep.
First career home run. They get it done there, and then obviously that Mets win on Monday, which like they had no business winning.
I bet them that day too. Yeah.
So just the little gut 'em out victories, Dave.
Those are the best.
On pace.
Those are the victories in April and May in the early parts of the year that
it matters.
It matters like crazy.
And like right now, it's a month into the season, but they're being on pace for 97 wins is incredible.
Yeah.
So
and they survived that gauntlet of an April.
Yeah.
You know that was a gauntlet of an April, and you know, and you still
more than survived.
Yeah. No, they did. Yeah.
They needed to be 500 at the end of April.
Exactly. So now, let's just keep building the momentum.
Keep going.
In May, get some guys healthy.
Steele's coming back soon. They announced he's having his rehab start. He was in here. He was talking. He was going to go to Arizona for like a simulated one, and then they announced when he's doing his rehab start. So he's got to be very close. So you did the whole
quick. Yeah.
You did the whole month of April without your ace. You know, and then when you had two guys last year who you could depend on with Hendricks and Azalea struggling. And it like you having those three guys be completely gone or ineffective, you'd be like, that's probably not good given the schedule that they have. And the fact that they're 18-12. Like that's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah, and I'm excited to get back into some divisional ball.
Yep.
They got 2 series against the Brewers, 2 series against the Pirates, and then they got another series against the Cardinals. So
you might be seeing Paul Skeens too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
You want to
go? Actually, I would go see.
Okay.
I would go see Paul Skeens if assuming
he's a freak.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's your next Verlander.
Yeah, and shout out to Talkman too.
He's got
yeah, and that's the thing. Like they have depth like they haven't had before.
Yeah.
Where like you can call up PCA and PCA, he's hitting 278. Like and he's had some good moments. He's effective. So there's a lot to like about that team.
Mm-hmm.
They're a fun team. Like they're. You know, we said about them last year where they just seem like they have a good culture and it's a bunch of guys who are, you know, they don't have like that true superstar. They just have like a lot of guys who are like, 8 out of 10, you know, and it's fun to watch just like defense and like timely hitting and good pitching. They're a very, very likable team.
Yeah. And
Morel is electric.
Did we say Javier Assad yet?
No,
because he cannot go to the show without mentioning.
Yeah,
he was. I was going to bring him up.
Give me those fan graphs, Dave. Give me all the good stuff. Make Cubs fans warm and tingly, even though I know you hate to do that.
Dave's just a baseball purist. He'll tell the truth.
Yeah, I'll tell the truth. I mean, sub-2 ERA, the FIP and xFIP lead. I mean, obviously he's not going to have a sub-2 ERA this year.
No, but
come and Ks per 9, not great.
That's not his thing, though.
I know. But if you're missing bats, it's a better thing. No, I mean, he's a good pitcher. How old is he?
26.
26. I was going to say 25. Yeah.
But he's a guy who like came out of nowhere last year.
Yeah.
You know,
they found him.
Yeah.
They sure found him.
Yeah. But like he he only came in. Who got hurt last year that he got slid into the rotation?
Stroman,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So then he came in and was like lights out when they were on that super hot run in the summer. And then he's just kind of picked up right where he left off because he was great last year too.
Yeah. So good April. Chicago Cubs.
Yep.
Exciting. If there's nothing, Dave, we can mow over the White Sox.
There's
shout out our boy
Danny Mendick. Had a bomb and a double last night. He's playing some pretty good baseball. He's striking out too much, but he's been a nice little offensive spark aside from the strikeouts. I have lost 5 straight bets against the White Sox, which was it's day to day wins and losses do not fucking matter for this team. So it's like, what do you want to talk about? How Garrett Crochet is doing well or striking a lot of people out? His ERA is way inflated right now, but he looks good. There's nothing to talk about. John Schriffen pissed off the fan base already. He had to come out and like say he wasn't talking about the haters in the fan base. He was talking about the haters in the
missed that.
When Benintendi had his walk-off a couple nights ago, his home run call, you could probably pull it out. I don't know if that's legal or not, but he hit the walk-off and he goes, "Take that, haters," like thinking that he doesn't know the White Sox fans or the history of the last 7 years. Like, he obviously wasn't involved with the organization. Mm-hmm. He doesn't understand what's going on and why we're so pissed and like hate the team so much. I don't think.
Man,
but he's getting a good taste of it now.
He didn't even make it out of the month of April. He shows up at that 108 bums tailgate, and then everyone was in on him, and then now he's he'll rebound.
It's a tough spot.
It's a very hard spot. Yeah. He's not going to just walk in and start shitting all over the team. He can't do that.
Can't do that either.
He can't do that. Which is what, if he were telling the truth, he would be doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's in a hard spot. Nobody's watching the fucking games. Like, I got him on TV2 every night.
They're 6-24.
They're playing a lot
worst
better.
Team in baseball.
Yeah.
They're not anymore, I don't think.
No, they are.
I think they're the 3rd worst team.
No, they're the worst team.
Still?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I stand corrected. I thought they passed the Marlins for a second, but
the Marlins are 7-24. Rockies are 7-22.
The Rockies too, yeah. So, nevertheless, it's a complete dumpster fire. They don't really have anybody they can trade. But like, here's the thing: like, Eric Feedy looks legitimately good right now.
That's a good story.
It's a good story, but like, people are like, oh, what can they get for? Why they have him for at least next year? Why are we talking about trading the good players? Fucking keep the good players, and then get more good players around them.
Yeah,
but he's as good as gone, I would imagine. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to. I don't think Colson Montgomery's played the last few nights.
What do you?
We can keep moving it on.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, how long before they get relegated from TV2 to just nothing, or like you're checking box scores and that's it? Another month of this, or is it you're gonna have them on all summer casually? Yeah, passively.
Yeah. If I'm in my living room, they'll
be on. Okay,
they'll have
that's
TV2.
Dedication. That's just
not though. It's just because there has to be something on.
TV2. Yeah, but you could have a Seinfeld rerun on your
not with volume.
Yeah, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seinfeld reruns will be on TV1. How could you sell me that death trap?
Get on the show with this. Is it officially Steven Stamkos' season in Chicago?
I hope so. The GM for Tampa has come out and said like signing Steven Stamkos is a priority. I mean, he's still very good. Here's the thing that I'm starting to get angry at factions of the fan base who just they don't understand that you can't just be like, we're just going to play all rookies. Like, that's like you're losing Tyler Johnson. You're losing, I'll pull up Cap Friendly right now, but they're losing a ton of veteran guys that are going to be vacating roster spots. So Tyler Johnson is gone. Mackenzie Entwistle, he's not a veteran guy, but he's not an NHL player. He's out. Taylor Radish is going to be out. Reese Johnson's going to be out. Colin Blackwell, who was pretty good last year in a 4th line role, he's going to be gone. Zaitsev's going to be gone. Tenorti's going to be gone. Menga's going to be gone. These are all like guys who don't belong really in the NHL anymore in Tyler Johnson's case. So those are 8 roster spots. You're not going to have 8 rookies next year. So you should be trying to go and improve the team. Kyle Davidson did say he wants to take a step forward. He wants to progress. He wouldn't put like a timeline on the playoffs or anything like that. But they could, if they are not even like hyper aggressive, but if they go out and get Stamkos and another top 6 type of forward, they're not that far off from being in that mix, with St. Louis and Nashville for like those bottom, wild card spots. Like you could push for that next year if, because Vlasic, Jones, like they have some building blocks. Taylor Hall will be back next year. Like they should, like Davidson wouldn't say playoffs are the goal, and that would be silly for him to say. That should be the goal. Like that should be the goal. And if you look at what's going on with Toronto and some of these other teams, you do kind of need to start winning before you have to pay all these guys. And so I would I don't want to give Stamkos any significant term. So if Stamkos is like, hey, like I think Stamkos is 33. So if Stamkos says, hey, like I want a 5-year deal to take me to the end of my career, well, then that doesn't work for me. And it shouldn't work he's 34. So that shouldn't work for Davidson either. But if you're like, hey, like we'll give you, and I'm not even joking with this number, we'll give you $12 million a year, which the Hawks could easily afford. It wouldn't fuck up their ability to re-sign any of the guys like Bedard. Like give them $12 million a year for 2 years, and then reevaluate.
I don't think that's crazy at all.
I don't think it is either.
No.
But people are like, "Well, you're stuck in the past." Like, no, and they say that when I talk about Kane too. Both of those guys are still awesome. If you just had like anonymous types of players that you wanted for this team, just had the stats, their age, and you just stripped away the names, because those guys will likely, because of their age, be forced to have shorter term deals. They're attainable, and they would be perfect for the type of team that you need to put around Bedard. And that's what everything should be about. Bedard can't be on a line 90% of the time with Kurashev and Nick Foligno. That's not good for Bedard. Put him with people who can play at his level and get more out of him and help him grow. That's what they need to be doing. And there's just guys like that don't become available very often. You got 2 of them this offseason.
What's the lowest number that would like get Bedard going on, or get Stamkos going on like it?
I really don't know.
You think 8 would be like 8 for 2 years? Like
it's a great question. I don't know. So I think because the thing with Tampa that makes it tough to project with him specifically. So when Taves and Kane signed their monster deals at 10.5, they became the highest paid players. It was the expectation that Stamkos would break that the following offseason when he was going to be a UFA for the first time, that he would be at 11. He wanted to stay in Tampa. There's no state income tax, which has become like a meme, but it's true. He signed for 8.5. He signed for $2 million a year less than Taves and Kane were getting. And I do think part of that was Bowman just was like, well, you guys want almost $11 million? We'll smash all the records, even though we have a hard cap. Fucking idiot. But he signed to stay in Tampa. He he definitely did take a hometown discount to stay in Tampa Bay. He might just do that again. He might not care about the money. I do think
the way he was looking onto the ice, it felt like
it did. I agree. Yeah. It did feel like that was the end. But then when the GM comes out and says it's a priority for us to bring him back, which it should be, he's the greatest player in the history of that franchise, and he's still very good. The captain, all of this, and like I think their run is over. Their run doesn't get talked about enough. They went to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 2011. They've been a threat to win the Stanley Cup every single year, including this year. They got dusted by Florida, and Florida's better, deeper, bigger, stronger, faster, whatever. But like they still have Vasilevsky, still have Hedman, still have Kucherov, still have Braden Point. Brandon Hagel's a superstar. Yeah. Like they have, if they want to keep this run going, even if their ceiling is maybe the second round or maybe in a year, like the conference final, like Stamkos should be a part of that. And it's like, so he might be like, hey, I want to keep playing here. I want to play for one team. I'll sign for $4 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a leap of faith to think that he would have any interest in playing here at all.
So that's not what I've been told, not from him specifically, but in general.
Yeah.
Guys want to play in Chicago. It's known as like the best city. The organization, on the hockey ops side, I should say, they take good care of the players. And
yeah, but I feel like he'd have to get some type of disrespectful offer from Tampa.
Or just like or if Chicago gives him a disrespectful offer on the other direction, where it's like, we're gonna give you $6 million more than your next closest offer. Like how do you say no? Like, and we're gonna put you on Connor Bedard's left wing. Go have fun. Yeah. Go have fun. We're building something here. Like remember when you came in when you were an 18-year-old guy with Tampa and you guys were fucking terrible. Like, we're building that here. We want you to be a part of this. And like, you know, and then maybe it's not this year we make the playoffs, but next year, like, we're gonna have a very good team.
Can hockey structure their deals like that?
Like what?
Like front load them?
I mean, you can, but that's really like for tax purposes.
Okay.
It is just like whatever you're making on the contract is averaged out.
Oh, okay.
Right. We're like that, and it does make it so. Like Marian Hossa was getting like 15 a year for his deal and his AAV at the beginning of that deal, and his AAV was like 5 something. And then at the end of his contract, he was only making $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, hey, like this guy can't play, but we still owe him money, you can then trade him to a poor team. Like, you know, historically Arizona was like the landing spot for that, and Arizona would take that because then they can say, hey, like we're above the minimum. Million, yeah. We're above the minimum, but in real dollars, we're only going to pay him $1 million. Mm-hmm. So it's like we'll take a draft pick. We'll take the salary. It helps us get to the floor.
What a fucking loophole that is.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, and I think they've changed some of the rules around that, but that's how it is. That's how it's structured. So but they really do need to. The offer that they need to give him is essentially front loaded.
You just have a conversation.
I would give him $24 million for 2 years, and be like, I dare you to say no to that.
Just have a conversation with him and Kane. Try to see if we can get them both 2 years, 16, and be like, hey, after those, like, let's make a handshake deal, and then you'll take a discount.
I don't even think Kane cares about the money.
Yeah,
I think he just wants to be back here.
Yeah,
and
I mean, that one's never going to happen.
I don't know about never.
Really?
We'll see. I would say it's a less than 5% chance, but I think if they came to me like, hey, like, we'll give you a 2-year deal, $5 million a year, you'll be top line with Bedard, power play, you'll go down, you'll be the captain, which he should have been this past year. Be the captain, you'll retire as the all-time leader, Hawk in everything. And because he was a point per game player for Detroit, like, he'll be better next year than he was this year coming back off that hip injury, which no hockey player has ever come back from before. And he came back and he was awesome again. And he looked like the Kane from like 3-4 years ago, as opposed to the one last year where he was really
dinged up,
really bad. Like, I was talking to somebody who was golfing with him in the summer before last season. And like every swing, he was like wincing and kind of limping. And they're like, "You all right?" He's like, "Yeah, it's just like this hip is like a fucking problem." So it was like a problem on the golf course, and then he'd go out and get a point per game.
Yeah.
Just basically with just his brain. Now his body's working again, and it's not like Detroit was a fine team. It's not like they were a great.
Yeah.
You put him with like, that's the thing. Like his game would complement Bedard so well. Like because they think it. You can see the way that Bedard thinks, and it reminds me of the way that Kane thinks out there, the way he finds space and slows it up, like changes pace. They'd be perfect together. Just fucking do it. Just do it.
Well, I'll be a soldier for you. Let me know what I got to do. I'll fall in line. Stamkos to Chicago. I'm on board. I'm going to Tampa next month, so if I need to
go recruit him,
make a
put a sign outside the door.
You know what?
Custom jersey. I'm there.
Hit up Tory. Call the mates, bring them down to Tampa, and do a little recruiting.
Yeah.
Come on, Steven.
Yeah, I just want the team to be competitive next year. I can't watch an AHL team again. Like that was even with Bedard, they were hard to watch. Take a step forward, and this is a way to do it.
Yeah. All right, then we got to wrap up this show.
I got something that just popped into my head. I really hope Tory Taylor smokes cigarettes and he's like the kicker and the replacement.
For the replacement? Yeah. That'd be sick.
Yeah, I want him to be. I know he's English or whatever in that movie, but
yeah,
I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
I'll remember The Crown at one point.
Yeah.
All right, then. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for watching. That's it. Thank you one more time to Tory Taylor. We'll be back next week. See you then.